What are the secrets of the 5 elements in nature? It's a great question that we can get started on today. My name is Coach Matt. I am a master spiritual life coach that works alongside a ton of different clients from a wide variety of categories, backgrounds, and ethnicities to show the differences and the similarities between a ton of cultures so that we can have better, deeply rooted esoteric wisdom to live better lives. Because I personally believe mastering your life will make it so that we can change the world to be a better place. What are the 5 elements? Let's discuss that. The 5 elements that are consistently known, regardless of what culture you're studying, would be akin to earth, water, fire, air, and ether. In Chinese elements, they would be earth, fire, water, metal, and wood. There's a lot of discussion around where each of those elements kind of fit into the part. I like to believe that the wood is akin to air because the trees actually are the ones that give off air for us. They believed that air was much more of a divine, etheric type of spiritually connected element in and of itself. This is specifically the Chinese culture. But the metal, they would also consider to be etheric. And that is much of that is because metals were not only below the earth, but also were believed to be above the earth as well, specifically in the brain, which almost every single culture deemed as the godliest part of the body. And most of the brain is made of magnesium and manganese. So let's focus in on where the Egyptians, the Indian Vedas, and the Europeans honed in on the 5 elements, which would be earth, then water, then air, then fire, and then ether, in that order specifically. Now, why is it in that specific order? Because there's a lot of conjecture, there's a lot of different ways that we can break it down. Well, water and fire, which are separated by one element there with air in the middle, they're polar opposites. You can't have fire without water. You can't have fire and water together in the same place. The same can be said about earth and air. You can't have earth and air in the same place. You either have something in this sphere or you have nothing in this sphere. Water and fire also dually work the same way. If you have a huge forest fire, for example, you need more water than there is fire. And if you have an ocean, you're not going to have a fire that can just burn underwater. The caveat to this would be through the earth, which would be magma, which is a combination of earth and fire, ironically. But no matter what you do, everything is actually stacked in a fundamental way. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's take a look at the earth itself. You have the earth at the very bottom, which would be the solidity, the foundation. Above that would be water. Above that would be the atmosphere. And above that would be the stars of heaven, or the sun, or even the moon, which is considered a luminary. It gives off light. Fire and light are often put together in a lot of ways. The reason for this is because obviously fire gives off light, but because fire is the connecting bridge of light, whereas earth, water, and air do not give off light, but ether and fire do. There's also a barrier between water and air. You can actually see this over the horizon. When the sun comes up over the horizon, there is a barrier between water and air. They coexist because the water goes up and comes down, and the air swirls the water. So they're kind of like intermediated. On the earth itself is where you can put a fire. So earth and fire are also reflections in that sense. That's why magma exists in the first place, because there is a dichotomy to that combination as well. So you can lay a fire on the earth, but you can't really have a fire in the sky without like wood or something to burn. So you can't just have like, fire. And if you do, you could have something like a fire tornado, for example, or lightning. Lightning would be a great example, but lightning is more etheric because it's in that upper, higher atmosphere, that stratosphere, coming from a lot of focalized energy in the air. And then but where does it go? It goes down back to the earth, and that's where it ends. It kind of like snuffs itself. It will travel forever If we didn't have the earth below and it was just a vacuum, it would just keep going to some degree until the energetic output would eventually be diminished. But anyway, so to speak. So everybody understands the fundamentals of what I just explained. You have all of those elements that are lined up at the top, above the heavens, above the stars, so to speak, again, would be considered God or the source, the light, the energy that would essentially coexist throughout all of the other four elements. This is also why the Chinese considered metal to be one of the higher one of those higher level elements, because metals can be in fire. They're workable in fire, like you can make swords. Metals are in the earth. Metals run through the water. And metals, for the air specifically, you can have metal, you're swinging a sword. So metal still exists because anything can exist in air. Air is like and also they didn't believe that air was an element for this exact reason, because anything could exist in air so long as it had the proper other elements that were necessary. So, for example, you can't have a floating fireball. You would have to have a stick with fire on it, like a torch. So it gets complex, but this is going back to the 5 elements. Take that stack of what I just showed you. Do we not have this also in the face of the human body? You have the jaw on the very bottom, which houses the teeth that you use to chew food. Next, you would have the mouth, which is where you would take in water. You also take food in the mouth, but you don't need your teeth to drink. You need your teeth to chew. You need your tongue specifically for the water and the liquids and the solids, and the tongue is essentially like a combination of water and earth in the elemental realm. Above that would be the air, where we breathe in through the nose. Above that would be the eyes, which need light in order to see. And then finally the brain. And in the brain, you have the ether, which would be the source, the light, running down the neurological body. The wise Kabbalistic sages used to say anything above the head was considered holy, anything below the neck, above the neck was considered holy. I misspoke. Below the neck is considered demonic. This is where the Kabbalah gets a bad rap, because it has a lot of negative connotations and it has a kind of a darker, more depressing view of life. As wise as it is, and I love the Kabbalah, I love it. It's very depressive, so just take that with a grain of salt. I love the Kabbalah. So when we take a look at these elements, we'll start to see in nature they are everywhere. In the central strand of DNA, you have hydrogen bonds. Air is in the middle. On the outskirts of the DNA, the double helix would be nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon, if I'm not mistaken. The carbon would be the earth. The oxygen would actually be more akin to water, because the oxygen molecule is the bigger molecule in water. So although we think of oxygen as being related to air, it's also related to water too. And then nitrogen would be fire. And then through the combination of those 4 elements, you get DNA, which houses electricity, because DNA is piezoelectric, which means that it can run an electric current through it, which is how we evolve actually as human beings. It's what it means to activate your DNA. It's running the light-based electrical current, which the Gnostics often referred to as the gift that Sophia, the Holy Mother, bestowed upon humanity, their neurological bodies, their etheric bodies. So not only do you have it in the face, you also have it in the body itself. You have the brain, or the toroidal energy around the human body, as the etheric. Then you have the fire at the top, like the sun, shining down on the lungs, which would be the air, the atmosphere. Then you have the stomach, and you have the genitals. The stomach and the genitals would be a reflection of the earth and the water, because they're both kind of murky. They both have all these little microorganisms going around. In fact, most of the cells in your body are in that lower region of the body. They are the microbiome and the specifically for men, the sperm, but also for the women, the eggs. The eggs are more dormant, the sperm are more active. So, in and of itself, we can see that not only in the face, but also in the entirety of the body, we have that regimented structure. And that is where I will capstone that for the 5 elements. There's tons to break down in that revelation. You could also see it in a tree. Leaves at the top take in the light, tree trunk in the middle gives off the oxygen, and the roots are the water and the earth. So no matter what you're looking at in a living way, anything that houses DNA is going to follow that same structure. Lots of love to you guys. If you have any comments or anything that you want to discuss, go drop them down below. Go to our website, www.teampsychosmos.org. I love saying that. I'm sorry, I just love saying it. And go check out all the different services that we provide. We have spiritual life coaching courses, we have lecture series, we have a lot of free content that you can download, and you can get into contact with us. If there's a specific request that you have, you can get certified as a life coach or as a wide variety of other different categories through us. We have a whole different series of certifications that we are able to deliver to you guys. And as always, guys, lots of love, many blessings. Take care.